slow.
Gunda Kamani. Now, it nearly broke social media. Such was the response in the minutes after the British sci-fi series Doctor Who announced who would be the next Doctor. The actress Jodie Whittaker will play the lead, the first woman to do so in 36 series. Well, reaction was overwhelmingly positive, with a few exceptions. More of that in a moment or two. First, a reminder of how the news was actually broken. Well, it was quite dramatic. This is how one young fan reacted to that announcement.
The new Doctor is a girl!
Well, she was excited. Well, the response on social media was a little more mixed. Let me take you through a few. David Owens wrote, "My 8-year-old daughter pumped her fist and shouted yes when the new Doctor was revealed. Think that tells you all you need to know." Not everyone was happy. On Facebook, Nikki Murphy wrote, "I like Jodie. I think she's a terrific actor, but I'm sorry, this is an exercise in pleasing the PC brigade. How about writing some new quality roles for females? This is an attempt to meet some sort of quota." And celebrities also weighed in, including the 6th Doctor, Colin Baker, who said, "Change, my dears, and not a moment too soon. She is the Doctor, whether you like it or not." Well, with me here in the studio is the screenwriter Gail Renard and Kezia Newson, co-creator of Time Ladies blog and a huge Doctor Who fan. Thanks both of you for being with us. To you, Kezia, first of all, I mean, what did you make of the announcement itself and the reaction there's been to it?
I mean, it was such an exciting announcement. I'm really, really glad that they had that video of her. I'm really glad that we kind of got to see a bit of her in action. Can't wait to hear her first line, so I thought that was great. And the reaction, yeah, I'd say it was probably, I mean, it's mostly positive, and it's way more positive than I thought it would ever be for that kind of announcement. So that's really, really, really good. Obviously, there are some people who are a bit unhappy, but I'm just hoping that they'll come round to her and give her a chance.
Gail, how risky do you think it is? This is a super successful formula. Why deviate in any way from it? Is that a risk?
Well, yes and no. Let me say I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. Women got the vote in 1928. We got a woman Doctor Who in 2017. Took a little while. But yes, it's wonderful because children and all of us should have female and male role models. So I'm sure, you know, sort of, it's in safe hands with Chris Chibnall and also with Jodie Whittaker, who's a wonderful actress. But shall we get into the buts? If I was cynical, and I hate to be cynical, okay, Doctor Who's ratings have been dropping. I'm sure they thought, do we stay, do we go? So they've put a woman in. I would hate to think, if heaven forfend that the series doesn't do well, they turn around and say it's because it was a woman Doctor Who.
Well, I'll come back to,
yes.
to some of that theme in a moment. I mean, it is quite a bold choice, obviously, Kezia, but I was surprised it wasn't a black actor, because before Peter Capaldi, there was a lot of attention on this, and it was thought that around that time it might be. So they've had another opportunity, and again, it isn't. What is your thought around this whole area, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think representation is so important, and I think basically if it had been another white male, which is what the 12 Doctors before had been, then that would have been very, very disappointing, because they need that representation on screen. I think that that it should have either been a woman or an actor who'd be black or from BAME background. So I'm glad they've chosen a woman for now, and then they'll have the opportunity next time to, I don't know, who knows, a black female
Yes,
Doctor.
who knows? And we still have a few.
Yeah, but it's definitely really
assistants is a whole new other territory, isn't it? I mean, Gail, as a writer, do you think it makes any difference, the gender of the lead here, or is it immaterial, do you think?
Considering Doctor Who, you know, comes from Gallifrey, travels in a phone box and fights Daleks, I think the fact that Doctor Who might be a female is the least incredulous bit. But
Definitely.
There's another problem, which is, where are the women writers on Doctor Who?
The women writers?
Yes. I mean, there's been huge spells without any women writers at all. And on the BBC, I mean, in television and film in general, from television drama, only 34% of the writers are female, and on a high-end series it drops down to 27%.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now, we can write, we have pens, we have BAFTAs, You know, it's worrying. I would feel happier when Doctor Who starts having equal women writers.
In terms of content, though, in addition to what I asked you about, does it make any difference? I mean, they're blessed, aren't they? Because you've got, you know, an extraordinary series where you regenerate, the character itself changes, you have the TARDIS. I mean, there is just the most huge scope, isn't there? Let alone the interactions with assistants and all of that.
You can do anything you want. I mean, that's the glorious thing about Doctor Who. I mean, this time, regeneration and transition. I mean, how much better can you get? But it's what I worry about are some of the fans, because females with Doctor Who do get trolled a lot.
Hey, over here.
And no, well, you say hey, so
no.
you obviously know that, because it's interesting that Doctor Who generates a sort of fans around the world, and some of them are pretty much set in their ways, aren't they? Would that be fair?
I think that's fair enough to say. I think that it's also fair enough to say from probably the more stubborn fans from their perspective that, you know, that this show's been around for 54 years and people have such a personal connection with it. They've grown up with it. So many generations of people have grown up with it. So I think that's fair enough. But I also do think that they have to be open about the fact that Doctor Who literally thrives on change. Like, it wouldn't be here probably without regeneration. It's the most amazing thing about the show. So they need to accept that it needs to move forward, and the fact that the Doctor can regenerate into either gender, it was only a matter of time until they were a woman.
And Gail, it's interesting, you mentioned the lead writer changing with the change to the Doctor themselves, so it's quite a big change around, but actually he is not unknown to Jodie Whittaker, because they worked on Broadchurch, that series, pretty recently, so that will help, isn't it? Because if you look at Matt Smith, you look at David Tennant, I would say the one thing that draws out from both of them is a sort of playfulness amongst the script and the dialogue. So presumably that sort of background connection will help.
Oh, yes. I mean, the ideal world, any series is teamwork between writers, producer, directors, everyone, you know, actors. And it's wonderful because Chris Chibnall gave the world Broadchurch. He's written for Doctor Who before. He's worked with Jodie Whittaker, so he knows exactly how to bring out the best in her. I think it couldn't be better.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Go on.
Because you're a writer. What would you do with her in this role?
Oh, have fun, and it'll also be very interesting. Well, also, it'll be nice to see a strong Doctor Who as a woman. I mean, look, Wonder Woman seems to do all right. I would just not even... It's not so much her feminine side. Let's see what women do in tight positions where, you know, we can cope.
I think it's both. It's like accepting that a woman can be incredibly strong but still have their femininity, and that's almost lies in their strength in some ways, and I think that'll be really interesting to see what they do.
What did you make of Gail's point earlier when she talked about ratings? Because when you think of the David Tennant days and the Matt Smith days, that was really in its pomp.
Yeah.
And if it has sort of edged off a little, I mean, is this in part also a bit of a reboot, do you think, for the whole of the series?
I think it definitely is. I mean, it's almost like when Stephen Moffat joined and they had the 11th hour with Matt Smith joining, and that felt like completely new Doctor Who. The colours were all different, the writing was different, as well as obviously the Doctor and the Companion. I think this is going to be exactly the same. Chris Chibnall has said that, you know, he's going to really put his spin on it and completely change his Doctor Who. So yeah, I'm hoping that will bring in lots of new fans.
What would the two of you do with assistants? Because they have great fun, you know, at different stages. That sort of dynamic between the various relationships is great television.
Yeah. I mean, I love a good TARDIS team. I think it's great just having one companion, but some of my favourite TARDIS teams are back with Troughton, with like Jamie and Zoe, and just having lots of people having fun together in TARDIS. I don't think we need to concentrate on it being necessarily a man or a woman. It'd just be great to have a little group of friends like travelling around, and I'd love that.
I think that's why it plays so well internationally. I mean, the global audience is huge for all of this.
Oh, yes.
In terms of coming back to scripts, you mentioned Stephen Moffat. Do you think the scripts, the plots may get a little simpler? I confess to being a bit of a dunderhead. I struggle to follow some of these plots here. I mean, it's fantastic television, but I have no idea what's going on.
I must
Thank goodness for the Doctor, because he does.
There was one script that one episode that I watched the first 15 minutes, and I thought, I've watched Doctor Who, not religiously but close, and I thought, I don't understand what's going on here. And I thought, okay, it would be nice to you know, but I'm sure people could say that about my scripts as well. But it'll be interesting because, as you said, it's going to be a reboot, and that's exciting that the BBC allows that on such a classic series. And it'll be nice to do it without the cracks, because already I've seen on Twitter some men saying, oh, well, I hope they can drive it better than trains, sort of things, you know, the TARDIS better than trains. And I thought, not only will the new Doctor Who drive the TARDIS, but backwards and in heels.
And perhaps drive some of those attitudes forward by a few light years.
Yes,
so,
please.
Excited?
Yes,
Oh,
so
yes.
excited,
Yes.
obviously. Yeah, can't wait, really can't wait. Hopefully we'll get to see her at Christmas.
I think that's the plan,
maybe.
isn't it, at
Yeah,
Christmas?
so
And
that'd be great.
Yeah, and let's hope this is the start for bringing a lot more women behind the camera as well as in front of the camera. And may it be as successful as we all hope it's going to be.
Yeah. Lest we forget that the first BBC producer, Verity Lambert,
yes,
was the
great
first
Verity.
producer of Doctor Who. So
You're absolutely right. So you
Yeah.
bring it full circle.
Yes.
So
Okay.
well done to you. Kezia Newson and Gail Rollard, thank you both for coming in
Thank
and
you.
discussing the new Doctor Who. Thanks to you both.